Um, if you've not been in here before, this is basically a teaching little time. It's a chat, but I am offering the examples that I'm using to teach from up for sale. So just be patient if you've come in to buy. We will scatter the buying all through, but today I have got a lot to tell you. So let me dig right in, and I hope I can get through to the end because we have got a jewelry mystery box train starting in the next hour, and we want to be sure and raid into that on a timely basis. So hang in with me. What we're teaching about is the title of the series is The Language of Design. And the purpose of the teaching is to, first of all, help you better appreciate your own personal jewelry and the jewelry, if you're a seller, the jewelry that you're selling. And secondly, to give you some additional descriptors when you're showing your jewelry, if you're a seller, or to be able to talk about your jewelry if somebody compliments you on it. How many of you get frustrated trying to think of something more than isn't it beautiful or it's lovely or spectacular or super cute? We hear that a lot, and there's nothing wrong with those words, and you'll hear me using it too. But I'm just going to enable you to have some other descriptors that have to do with design elements and design principles. And every designer of any object, whether it's jewelry, furniture, architecture, graphic design, and books, they all deal with these same elements and principles of design. And the psychological responses and emotional responses people have to those elements and principles remain the same, regardless of what the object is. So let's. Are y'all on target with me? Thank you, Bedazzled. Thank you. I tried. I have layered up today. I don't know if y'all can see. I'll flip the camera. Let me flip the camera around for just a second. It always surprises me when I flip the camera around and see myself. But I've got on lots of layers today. I've got on my coin collection shirt. This is an ancient coin. Got that on, and my trademark pearl studs, and then my cap that is a ever growing and changing collection of critters and bugs. And some of you know that I like to collect those, and I appreciate that. Okay, let's flip back around and get into business here. All right, we talked last week about it was an introduction, but I did give you a couple of terms already that aren't the elements and principles. And I'm going to run through them real quickly because a good teacher will do a review. We talked about words like subject. What is the subject matter of what you're showing? Either now with jewelry, it's going to be like with this piece here by Coro, that's floral. Those are flowers and a representation of flowers. And so the subject matter would be floral. Subject matter of my little statue here is that it's a mouse. And so you see what that the subject matter, that's just a common word that you can use. And then representational design is well, that's a good example right there because it's nameable. First of all, recognizable right away. We recognize that's a little mouse, and it's nameable. So that is representational. Sometimes it's referred to as objective design or figural. In jewelry, sometimes you hear that term figural quite a bit. And then there is non-representational, which means that the object is not recognizable. And an example I used last week was this Fenton rose bowl. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, first of all, we see it and we want to say, well, that's Fenton. And then we want to say, if we know that that's an example of the rose blown glass, by a stretch, you might say that's a piece of candy, Christmas candy, and that's okay. But non representational is really basically there's not a nameable or recognizable object. Well, what about abstract? Uh, flip this is a real good example of abstract. This is a piece of African art, and we recognize right away what it is. It's a human figure, but the essence of a human figure has been abstracted out. And so this is a good example of abstract design, and you see it in jewelry quite a bit. We'll run across some examples, and it all goes back to the day of Picasso. My coffee cup I got sitting here just happens to be Picasso's famous painting Guernica, and you can see the similarity there in how things are abstracted. All right, so uh, then. Another word is content. What is the content of a design? Well, what would the content of this Coro duet clips be? The content would be that it is a bit of an abstracted form of flowers. So the content is floral, and but if we're going to push it towards an interpretation. What is that? What does that make you think of? Does it make you think of a spring day? Or a summer day. I mean, you can get into that kind of interpretation. Certainly, you can with art, but it is possible to carry it over to jewelry and to other uh, things as well. The last thing is iconography. That's the last term we talked about. I only have an example up on my wall there. Those are objects that are designed in such a way to carry traditional or historic meaning to them. So you can see that cross up there. All right, that is an example of iconography, and we certainly see it in jewelry all the time. In fact, I have a piece on right here. And do you guys know you can slide your screen to the right and remove the chat out of the way so that you can see more clearly? I know that this is being shown over the chat, but that's a Byzantine cross. Some might call it a Maltese cross, but it's Byzantine. This is an example of iconography. All right. Okay, enough of the review. Today, the first thing that I want to do is, let me get you back around over here, is now jump right into, wait, no, that's not the first thing I want to do. I've got to take a commercial break here because I've already shown you a couple of uh, items here that are not jewelry, and I want to tell you that personally, I have just signed on with our partner sister site, and let me bring you over here to my computer. This is the site that you're on right now, Lily Works Jewels and Lots, and the owner of this site, Rachel. She has another site that she's now getting up and going. It's called Lily Works Antiques and Collectibles. And I am going to move all of my hard goods over to this site and all of my collectibles that I have not even begun to show you guys. I've got vintage and antique coin collection. I've got rare and first editions that I have talked about and shown you a few things. I want to present those in this marketplace. And I've got even mineral specimens that is a collection. And I don't know if you, I consider them collectible. We'll see how that goes. But I've also got the traditional little things that you saw right over here that I've been showing on this site. Well, now I'm going to pull them all over here. So I want you to go to Lily Works. Um, that's what the emblem looks like. Lily Works Antiques and Collectibles, and join this marketplace too, please. And there is something else happening. Let me get back to the site we're on right now. Does anybody see that blue button right there? That's new. And it's a subscribe button. Now, I know that you guys are familiar with, and my hand's shaking. Hang on, let me set this back down. I know you guys are familiar with Patreon accounts and that sort of thing. It's a membership thing. And there are perks. There's always perks, great perks that come with having a Patreon account. And so this is not a Patreon account. It is something that District is offering, which is absolutely awesome. It's a tiered membership subscription. And the first one is really basic. And I'm going to let Rachel herself tell you about it here in just a second. But you can get lots of perks. Let me bring you back over here. Sorry, this is totally unrehearsed on my part. Do you see right down here? This should look familiar to you when you come into District. All right, right there. This is going to be something new for subscriptions. The Lilyworks Vault, and we'll be talking more about that. But the chat with Lilyworks team, and I'm on that team. So if you want to chat with me, or if you want to chat with Rachel, the owner of this marketplace, that's the place to do it. Now, that will be for folks that sign up and subscribe. So let's listen real quickly to our sweet little gal here. Look at that cute little jean jacket she's got on. Now there's three right in a row, so just bear with us. We just kind of threw this together at the last minute. We have a new subscription service within the Lilyworks community to help you guys sell better and have more eyeballs on your listings, and also to create stronger community within our community. There's two different tiers. There's the Ruby tier, which is at $5, and that includes a badge next to your name, shout out at the end of YouTube videos, and a private subscriber chat. And the Emerald. Okay, hang on. Let's get up to the next one. Whoa, oh, hang on. Hang on. Let me take that off camera. Where's the second one? We've had some. Okay, here we go. And the Emerald is a $15 tier, and it includes things like 3% off your seller fees. You get to be in a promoted spot. Your listings get to be in a promoted spot at the top of Lilyworks community. You get to have access to the Lilyworks file vault, and also all the perks from the previous level. You get those too included. Here's the last one, and this is the community you want to be in, because Pack Rat Queen is here and she is the star of the show. Boom. I'm sorry, I have to laugh. I didn't know she was going to say that. I'm telling you, y'all, I've never worked with such a young, passionate, and talented, knowledgeable gal in all my life. It's just making me cry. Um, I've sold on a lot of platforms and still do, but I am going to put a good bit of my effort here helping her succeed, and especially with these teaching uh, things and showing. And in fact, on Monday, and I can't remember what time my show is on Monday. Let's see if I can pull it up right quick. Here I am advertising myself. Hang on. Um, on Monday, the 22nd at noon, I am doing my very first unboxing of my Georgian, Victorian, and Edwardian, all of that antique and vintage jewelry. Very first time I've ever shown anybody that part of my collection. So it'll be a joy for me, and I hope you'll come and see that. But we got to get on with what we're doing here, because in 45 minutes, our mystery box unboxing starts at Eastern Standard Time at 3. So let's get on with it. Okay. I haven't been able to read any of the chat, so if y'all have ask me a question, ask it again so that I can see it, okay? Sorry. Okay. I want to show you, I really want to show you the a couple of books. You know how I am with books, but let's just go ahead. I may have to do a part two A or B after. to finish this little session. But I want to talk about, first of all, the definition of line, and it starts off with when any designer takes their drawing instrument and a clean piece of paper, and oftentimes it is graph paper, and as soon as they put their drawing instrument to the paper, it in essence makes a dot, just like I did with my felt tip. Well, that is the very basic definition of a line, believe it or not. It's a point or a dot. And the reason why is as soon as you start moving your drawing instrument, what are you creating? Well, that's kind of a duh, right? It's a line. So a designer will start off with that point or dot, and sometimes it's very intimidating to be working with a blank piece of paper. It's just like sitting at the typewriter if you're a writer with that blank sheet of paper facing you. But that's the beginning right there. And then they'll bring in different drawing implements, and I'm just showing you this because this is actually part of a collection. I inherited my father's drafting table and all of his equipment and his templates, and quite frankly, I have used them all through my professional career. First as a graphic designer, that's what I did first, and then I even as later on as an educator, I have always been using that drafting table. My undergraduate degree was in interior design, but architectural drawings, how to do watercolor illustrations for architects. And so I have used my daddy's table and up until we moved over to computer and all the CAD systems, this was my equipment, and I bring it to you today because I want to show you how very much line is the beginning of any design. So imagine we're a jewelry designer, and we've sat down here to design a brooch, and you can see how a template, and by the way, these templates go back to the 1940s. These are quite old. They're almost getting antique. But you can see how brooches began to be designed, and on and on and on we could go. And then this one right here is called a French curve, and I couldn't find my little one. I just have this big one, so I brought it on anyway. But how many times have you seen elements like this going through a brooch? And we would describe them as lines. In fact, I'm going to show you some today. So that is how designs get started. These are the tools of the trade. The tools of the trade right here. And let me put that aside. And then the next thing I want to show you, though, is a resource that all designers have used. And I'm talking about not just jewelry, but architects, um, fabric designers, wallpaper, furniture designers, anything that has surface embellishment on it. And it is a book, and you know that I sell books. I'm not selling this one, but I have looked up some comps for you. And I'll show it to you to let you take at least a screenshot of it. It's a very famous book. It's called The Grammar of Ornament. It is by Owen Jones. And this book was first printed in, let's see, 18, oh, I'm going to have to do it by memory. 1856. So this goes way back from England, 1856. It was published in the United States for the first time in 1880, and then this particular one is the 1986 edition. Now, it continues to be reprinted. You can find them on Amazon. If you want to get one that's a collectible, you're going to pay $300 or $400 at least for it. But there are copies of this on Amazon for like, nah, I was seeing $20 to 70 something dollars. So they're pretty reasonable. There's also a paperback version. I don't know if it's got all the text in it, but it does have a lot of illustrations. So speaking of illustrations, the purpose of showing you this book is you'll catch on to what I'm talking about with jewelry in just a second. But it goes, what Owens did is he went through back historically. This is starting with the Greeks here, but it was embellishment that was architectural. And some of you may recognize like the dental design that we see on a lot of Greek um, ancient architecture and even see today. All right. But this one right here, I want you to pay attention to this particular design, and it is symmetrical. Notice that because when we get to the Rococo period, they're going to twist it around, and one will go this way, but the other's going to go this way, and it will be asymmetrical. And it was one of the things that helped the Rococo period to really take off design wise and in architecture. The Romans picked up just about everything that the Greeks did. They admired the Greek designs, and you can see with more embellishment, they began to use this same pattern over and over again. And now, this is architecture, but y'all, it transferred over to everything that had surface embellishment, the trim on their clothing, the even some of their jewelry, still picking up these what we call motifs. Let's jump way ahead to the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a renewal, a reinterest, a rebirth, if you will. In fact, that's what Renaissance means, of the classical period, the Greek and the Roman period. And look at here. What do we see on some panels that would be, again, for either wallpaper or done in stucco? All right, we see that same design being used. Now, begin to think about jewelry design. How many of you have got brooches that have or necklaces that begin to take on these characteristics, these motifs? And then we get into the Rococo period, and we can still see initially that they're using the symmetrical. But if we track the Rococo period, and the Rococo period basically started with up in the Netherlands with the artists, but eventually these are Italian designs. The Italians really took off with it. Okay, here we go. There and there. Do you see how that's asymmetrical? Okay, and a lot of our jewelry today is asymmetrical. There's something really quite beautiful about asymmetry. All right, so I just wanted to show you this because this book today, I'm guaranteeing you there's not a designer out there, especially wallpaper, fabric, and architecture, that doesn't have this book in their library, in their resource center. It's just very valuable. So if you're into crafts and you're wondering about decorating a surface, get you a copy of this at Amazon or eBay, and enjoy that. Now, let's look at a well-known jewelry designer, Eisenberg. And y'all hang on, I'm going to get to selling here in just a second. Let's look at Eisenberg. Everybody's familiar with Eisenberg. This is a great resource book, by the way, for Eisenberg. And there is a page in here, well, there's pages scattered all throughout that actually show drawings from their design studio, just much like I was doing on that graph paper. And you can see where the basic element there is line. Now, they're forming shapes. That's one of the things line can do. It can outline a shape. But there is an example of that. And I want to just say Eisenberg, started off designing dresses, and their label was first a dress label. And they were most famous for this black dress, silhouetted dress. Well, at one point, they decided to start adding a little bling. And so this is where our dress clips come in. Here they are right here. Okay, and they began using the Swarovski crystals, the Austrian crystals. Eisenberg used the highest quality crystal that he could get, and they called them diamante because they were imitation diamonds. Isn't that great? Awesome. Um, Chickadee, teal chickadee, awesome. That's great. I'm just now, sorry, I'm just looking at chat. Y'all forgive me. I'm trying to rush through what I'm doing today to get through it all. So forgive me if I'm not responding to your chats. Hang in there with me. But the thing is, the dress was sold in the stores. And the high-end stores, and then these were included in a little blue box with Eisenberg written on it. How many of you know those boxes are very collectible? That's a bolo for sure, an Eisenberg, and I've got one or two. I'll show you one day. But the women eventually realized because they were removable, they were clips, that they could use it on other things. They began sticking it on their pocketbooks and shoes, and on just on their regular blouses, and so they began to pester the stores about just selling them the jewelry, and so by um, let's see, by 1930, y'all, they were totally independently selling jewelry and had discontinued their dress line. That's how successful they were. Now, let's come back to the element of line. Here's an ad from the 1930s, and this would have involved a designer, a fashion designer, and they started with a blank piece of paper and they began to draw the flow, the probably gestural lines to begin with, something that the gesture of the flow. And how many of you, the term, the line of the dress lines, like even A-line skirts picks the word up in the name. But the lines, fashion designers are always talking about the lines. In fact, their entire collection for the season is called a line. So line is very basic. But I want you to notice here, right here, which becomes a focal point on this, because this is fabric, but this would have been spectacular jewels. Can you imagine? There's the piece right there. That was a clip on for this dress, and you can see why the ladies began to say, "Well, we just buy that separately?" Here's another one up here, and I'm not sure if it's one of these down here or not, but aren't those spectacular? Oh, now I'm going to give y'all a word of caution, and I'm going to do a whole session on Eisenberg when I start in on the different design houses, and maybe that's the proper place to address this, but I'm just going to put a bug in your ear right now. Eisenberg is the most highly counterfeited pen out there, designer out there, but they've been counterfeited from the get-go. So even some of the counterfeits are quite old, and even the best of people can be fooled. So I'm just, and let me just show you what I'm talking about. uh, in my collection. This is the about out of about maybe 8 pieces of Eisenberg. This is the only one that I have been able to confirm is a legitimate piece, and I've even got my wonders about it. But one thing that clued me in is, see those screws? That is a characteristic of the early Eisenberg designs, where there was 2 pieces and this one screwed onto this one. But guess what? The counterfeiters will actually put fake screw tops, but the whole piece is actually molded and is one piece. So it's one way that you can look to see, is this actually a separate piece that's been screwed on? This one I've got to do a little more research before I feel safe about it. And there are some sites on Facebook that the women can help you, but they don't have the piece in their hand. So my next goal is to actually seek out some authentic Eisenbergs that are in some antique shops and ask if I can hold them and look at them and inspect them, because uh, this was sold to me as an Eisenberg, an unsigned Eisenberg, but you can see some of the similar, see the lines. See how Eisenberg used line in those ribbon shapes? And this is a good example of horizontal line design. Okay, but this one's unmarked, so that from the get-go, I've got, a challenge there. But I can just tell you, I won't show you all of my Eisenbergs, but each one of them has got something that makes me question whether or not it's authentic. Okay, I hope I didn't ruin your day. Trifari. This is a signed Trifari piece, but I'm showing it. It's not for sale, but I'm showing it because it's actually a book piece. But it is a wonderful example of line. Look how the designer started off with all of these loops going around. It's very symmetrical. The the stones on in the center are just haphazardly placed. They're little baguettes. Look at that. But then, even these lines are emphasized with repeated baguettes running along here. This is what we call implied line. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the definition of line. Let me one last thing since we've talked about Chafari. Uh, Trifari, especially, when you talk about necklaces, it's hard to escape using the term line because the necklace itself forms a beautiful flowing line and is even emphasized by repeated shapes and colors that form what we call an implied line. And we'll look at that again in just a second. But these are Trifaris. Even the um, earrings have make the predominant design feature besides color and I'd say texture maybe is line. But look at this. I'm telling you, I would love to have that in my collection. That's a Trifari. Look how line was used so expressively to depict or represent, what would you say, grass maybe? Or feathers. The other design motif is a little daisy or dogwood flower, maybe. But isn't that gorgeous? And it's the shape of the necklace itself is one thick line, but all of this creates quite a bit of movement. When we talk about the principle of rhythm later, anytime you've got repeated motifs, it sets up a sense of rhythm, and then flowing lines naturally create rhythm. And why is that? Because the most basic definition of line, besides it being a dot, what was it I said about dot? Is that it is the path of a moving dot. Moving. Therefore, the first characteristic of line is that it has the ability to suggest movement, the abilities to suggest movement. So here's my first example that I'm going to put up for sale. It is a Coro. Many of you collect Coro. Um, this is a really good example of line um, that is there enough light? We got enough light here. Let me pull up some of these lights. Okay, do you see the flowing line? And whether you realize it or not, when you first look at this, um, your eye enters into this probably first here with the stones, but right away, if you realize it or not, your eye is following the lines. It may do it instantaneously, quickly, rapidly, but if the designer has done a good job, his job well, that characteristic of line to make your eye move and keep me the longer the designer as longer the designer is able to keep the viewer looking at his design, in this case of jewelry, then the more it heightens the option the what am I trying to say, that the person would say, well, the longer I look at that, I really like that, and I'm going to buy that. So that's what happens, whether it's at the jewelry counter in a store or in one of these chats. If the design grabs your attention long enough to look at it, your appreciation, your emotional response to it will grow. So that is why you're being able to talk about, look at the flowing lines, look at the variety of lines. It goes from thick to thin. Okay, and even these stones create a round line. The line, the edge of the stones is called a contour edge. That's a contour line. Uh, Creates a circle here, and that's totally out of these rhinestones. All right, well, let me put this one up to the stage and see if anyone's interested in having my little example of line creating movement. This is a signed Coro. It's signed right there. Okay. The pen's in good working order. No missing stones. It's in great shape. Hey, Teal Chickadee. Yeah, it is pretty, isn't it? It is pretty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank everybody for coming in today, spending your uh, Saturday afternoon with us. Lily Works, we all appreciate it. Hope you're going to hang around for the train that is later on. I'm actually going to show up about, let's see, it was 8 o'clock, I think, Eastern Standard Time. Or, yeah. Well, anyway, I got into the train on the last minute, so you'll see me later today. Have no idea what I'm going to be showing you, but it'll be fun. Okay, that has ended. All right, the next thing about line is that it is capable of great variety. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Sorry, I'm looking. There is another example of line creating movement, and it's with this little pen right here. This is by Monet, and it is a great example of line creating movement. A simple little pen like that on your jacket lapel or on your dress or sweater or on your put it on your pocketbook. It creates a focal point for interest. And this one is signed on the back. I would show it. It says Monet, trust me. And it's in good condition. Sorry, I should have already had it up and running. I'm just discombobulated today, y'all. Just bear with me. Okay, there we go. It's up and running. This is a Monet. It's just for $7. Sweet pen. Probably dates back to the late 50s, 60s. Anybody interested in this little Monet? D, there you go. Thank you for placing a bid. Anybody else interested? Thank you. I think you've got that. Yay. Yay. Okay, and I do have one other Monet stick pen. And let me put you back. Sorry, I'm jiggling you all over the place. This one is really expressing movement. And look at that implied line created by those clear rhinestones. This is another Monet. It is signed right there. Pen's in great working shape. Let's put this one up and see if anybody's interested in it. This is just a dollar more. I've got it started at 8 because of all those beautiful rhinestones. I think this little, thing. I think one of the famous designers, did Chanel do one of these? Don't hold me to that, but one of the famous designers did a swipe like this. And but Monet jewelry is amazing how, as old as it is, that it has kept its beauty. It doesn't tarnish. Isn't it gorgeous? I just think it's so simple. Good example of movement and a line. Okay, that's ended. All right, now we're going to move on to line being capable of great variety. And this is the piece that I was going to show for that. Line is capable of great variety. In other words, you can have thick and thin lines. You can have curving, straight, horizontal, vertical lines. In this case, it actually functioning as a contour. The edge of this orchid is a line, and it's frilly. It's trying to imitate the flower, the orchid. But then look at the line that's used on the inside there, all of those that's creating texture. Line is very versatile. It's capable of doing quite a bit. Now, can y'all see the stamens on the inside of that orchid? They're blue. Well, that's not showing up. They're blue. Do you see down here? Blue. Let's put this up and see if anybody, while I'm talking about it, is interested. All right, this is an example of the great variety that's in line. In fact, the stamens themselves, those little wire pins, are another use of line. And you can see the size, the scale of it in my hand. Y'all, is there enough light on it, or is it just me today? Seems like today is that a little better? Okay. All right. Yeah. Bedazzled. Yeah. Monet has kept its pieces well. Now, this one is unsigned and it's ended. All right. If anybody changes their mind, wants me to rerun it, I'm going to try and get these pieces up in my bite now afterwards so you can look there also. Uh, let's see. The next thing on my list here is another example of line being used with great variety, and it is another unsigned piece. I'm surprised because, y'all, if you were holding this piece right now, like I am, it is substantial. It's not flimsy at all, and the coating on this thing is absolutely stunning. It's a lily. It's got a faux pearl, but look how line has been used. First, you've got it in the stem itself, and then a wide line representing that little leaf. Let me go ahead and throw this up. All right, I've got it for $12. It is a beautiful, it almost looks brand new, but I know it's vintage because my mother, this was one of my mother's, and she bought most of her jewelry back in the 80s and had it in her drawers. And I've seen her wear this piece when she's been dead now 12 years. So, I mean, this pen's got some age on it. Um, but it's a nice example of the variety that line is capable of. Okay. All right. And let's see. The next one is the showing the same thing, line being capable of great variety. This is another unsigned piece. It's a flamingo. It's a flamingo. It's a good example of vertical line too. We're going, if we get to it today, you can see how the vertical line is very stable. We don't get a sense that bird's getting ready to fall over. But look at the leaves, the repeated stones and the leaves, and they're green and red. Let me put this up while I'm talking. All right. Um, got it started for $12. Thank you, Dees. This is, I'm interrupting myself here, but this is a close replica of the very famous flamingo pen that Cartier did. Just about every designer house, though, Jafari's got one. This one's unmarked, and I'm surprised because it is really well made. It is well made. It's not flimsy at all. The pen mechanism is in good working order. Okay. All right, D, you've won that. Yay. We set that aside. All right. That was number 6. All right, number 7 is this one right here. And this is an example of, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it up for sake of time. This is an example of how line can be expressive, uh, even musical, poetic. The dips and swirls of this line that is uh, channeled with clear rhinestones, all right, is very expressive musically, and even the movement of that little drop on the pen is almost adding to the rhythm. All right, this piece I had for $12 also, any interested in this? Okay, wait a minute. That wasn't the right one, was it? Hang on. Hang on just a second. Did anybody bid on that? Because I thought this is what should have been running. Let's do this. This is ribbon silver tone. It's only $7. There we go. Did somebody bid on the that was Dee, you bid on the flamingo, didn't you? Okay. I'm getting myself confused. Okay, this is $7. Beautiful little pen. It's old, but it in the back it's in good condition. The pen's in great shape. I love that little dangle. Okay, great. Louisiana, taking that for 7. I don't blame you. Sorry, my cameras won't focus on my background. I love my stage, y'all, but I may have to put something up one day to keep the camera from wanting to go out of focus. All right, has this ended? And Louisiana has won this. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think you're gonna enjoy having that. Okay, number 8 is the oh, look at this, y'all. I found this late last night and thought when I was going through my antique collectible drawer, I had put this in there. It is sterling 925. And let me go ahead and put it up and run it. So it's got a little bit of price to it. It is sterling. It's marked, but it's been tested. Beautiful piece of old sterling with marcasets, genuine marcasets in there. Isn't that gorgeous? But look how expressive the lines are in that. Very musical. They're moving, swirling. You can imagine a great opera playing in the background, the music swirling around. Uh, this piece was in my antique drawer. I'm thinking that I put this in my Edwardian section. Don't hold me to that. But I pulled it out last night and I thought I've got to use that as an example. Okay, has that ended? All right. All right, number 9 is the um, pendant butterfly. And I think, let me see if that pendant butterfly is still around. I don't think it is, so I'm going to skip it. Okay, the piece I was going to show, I've messed up on it. So sorry, I'm babbling to myself. Next, we're talking about outlines. And hang on, I've got a piece of Austrian jewelry. It does say on the back, right there, made in Austria. I know some of you out there enjoy Austrian crystal, made in Austria jewelry. I'm fixing the earrings real quick. Hang on. This is an example of line that can be used as outlines, and especially on this brooch. See how the um, the line of those clear rhinestones, the little ones, go around the edge of those larger, smoky colored stones. Let's get this up and running while I'm talking. And do form a wonderful outline, the use of outline. And then look at the crystals in the center that form a circle around that smaller stone in the middle. Y'all, this is a great set. Now I've got money on it because these are Austrian crystals. It's signed on the earrings and on the brooch. I know it's expensive, but y'all, if you become a serious collector or want to wear, fine jewelry, this is an example of it. And I'm going to tell you that more and more I'm going to start showing these high-end pieces. So come prepared. Bring your pocketbook and your husband's pocketbook and your daddy's pocketbook. Okay. All right, that's ended. Oh goodness, jewelry like that, y'all, does not lose its value. So consider when you buy a piece like that, as an investment. I do. In fact, I have them in an inventory, and I have them on a special insurance rider for my homeowners, so that as a collection, as do I my books, my coins, and all of that, so that if anything ever happens, they're protected. So um, I'm just giving you some extra advice that's free. Okay. All right. Number 10 is this piece right here. It's this. We're talking about. Um, we're talking about. Hang on just a second. Am I getting? I'm getting mixed up. Give me a second to get back. Number 11 is a Judy Lee. Oh, where's my Judy Lee? We're still talking about outlines. This is a Judy Lee hunka hunka brooch. Her name is right there, and it's obviously gold toned. But look how the designer used outline. They outlined the edges of all these leaves. This is a wonderful cluster of leaves. It's in excellent condition. Judy Lee is a collectible. If you're interested in starting collections and you want to collect the 20th century American designers, Judy Lee is a good one. And I've got this one priced really well at $22. It's a beautiful brooch. A lot of detail in here on these leaves. That the more you look at it, the more you see. Great example, though, of line used as outlines. Okay, any interest in this? We've only got just about 8 more minutes here. Anybody? Okay, that's ended. Okay, now we're talking about contour lines. And contour lines form edges. They're not literal lines. And I've got this little unsigned brooch that is, let me go ahead and pull it up. I call it my aqua spray, because of the way these aqua stones, isn't that the most beautiful color? Aquamarine is my birthstone. Now, these aren't real gemstones, they're faux, but they are spectacular in color. And the contour is the shape itself. If all of these repeated dots, okay, create an edge that creates the shape of this brooch. And so those can be referred to as contour lines around the center there. If you trace the edge of these rhinestones set in place, those are contour lines. Now, we've got a lot of literal lines that are used, spiking out, and a lot of movement. Look at the line that's in the back that is part of the construction, but it becomes part of the design. You can see it. See that circular shape in the back? Okay. Is this running? No, it's ended. Okay. All right. Y'all like that? I like this brooch. It's light in here. It's very springy. I could see this on a little sleeveless dress, summer dress that's floral. Anyway, uh, but that's me talking. Y'all would probably just put on a blue jean jacket and that'd be okay too. All right. We're talking about contour lines, and I have a Coro for sale, signed Coro, that again, the same principle. Let me go ahead and put this one to the stage, where if you trace, and your eye is actually doing that, whether you realize it or not, around the outside, that's how you determine, well, that's round. And there's that outer edge, all of those points that are faux pearls, by the way, set in right at the tip of those little floral-like shapes, and it forms a line, a contour, and then the tips of each one of these baguettes in the center of clear, the diamante, example of diamante, um, form another contour line. This is signed. It's signed right there, Coro. And look at this is that antique silver look. It's quite spectacular, and it's in good shape. All right, that's ended. Okay. The next one is talking about, have I got enough time? Yes. Implied lines. And I actually pulled a Juliana out. I've shown one similar to this before from out of my Juliana collection. But now I wasn't going to sell this one, but y'all made comments about you like this one better than the clear stoned one that I was showing before for sale. So I put this one up. Now it's got a really good price, $55. Show me where you can find a Juliana in this condition. And of course, you know, it's not signed. None of the D&E pieces that we call the particular line called Juliana is signed, but trust me, it's been verified. In fact, I've got the number, the registration number in the database for this, and I'll give it to you uh, if you purchase this. This is a beautiful, and it's an example of applied lines because of all of the stones set in a line create an implied line. It's not a literal line, it's implied. Remember, I'm just giving you additional adjectives that you can use in describing your pieces. Okay, all right. And I think I may have time for one more. All right, and it's sitting right here in front of us. So I think I've got time to show it. Let me throw it up here. This is another example of implied lines on this necklace. Now these are Austrian crystals, y'all. I know it's $32 is not, you know, a $7 item. This is a double strand. This strand hangs down below this. These are Austrian crystals. I have not, I have tested the gold on the little post earrings, and it's showing up as plated. But that right there, y'all, is quite nice. The top of this pendant. This is a beautiful piece, and let me show you the back. The back is, I've got it shortened, that lower chain shortened a little bit, but it's got it's a fold over clasp. Okay. All right. Did I see somebody bidding for that? Yay. Good. Good, good, good. And it's ended, and our time is over. Thank you. Let's see who bought that. Rosie B, when'd you slide in the room? I didn't know you were in here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me say goodbye to all of y'all, and I want to remind you to go to Lily Works Antiques and Collectibles first and sign up there to both begin buying, okay, coming to our live shows and going through the listings that are there. You know, not everything's just the live shows. There's also listings that you can look at and choose to buy right then, buy it now. And but then back over on this marketplace, the Lilyworks Jewels and Lots, please hit that blue button to subscribe and come in on that lower tier if you want to try it out and receive the perks that go with it, their financial perks and the benefit of being able to chat directly with some of us. And so I hope that you'll do that. And then we're going to raid just now into the mystery box unboxing, our train that starts, and I will see you myself later on this evening. And I'm substituting for somebody, so I've got to hurry and get my act together for that. Okay. I love each one of you. God bless you. And I'm sending you to Amy Caruso.